Hey, I don't know if you're familiar with the term shit show, but you will be becoming familiar with it. Have you seen what's happening in Congress and the Senate? So let me give you a brief synopsis. They're talking about sending $4 trillion of stimulus out into the world to combat this COVID-19 virus, which is causing all of us enormous distress. So, of course, they want to be seen to be doing something, and they're going to be sending out $4 trillion. 4,000 billion. 4,000 billion. Can you remember that number? 4,000 billion. Now, they're going to be sending us, working people who make less than $100,000 a year, let's assume about $1,000 each to make the math easy. Now, there's between 330, 400 million people in the United States. Let's assume 100 million of them are either working, well, I shouldn't say either, are both working and making less than $100,000 a year. So let's say 100,000 people are going to be getting $1,000. 100 million people getting $1,000 equals $1 billion. $1 billion out of the $4,000 billion that they're going to be sending out into the world. Who are these companies and entities and interests that are going to be getting the other 3,999 billions? Besides the 1 billion that we're getting. You know, in the last crisis, the people who owned the debt, the bankers, people who owned the debt were bailed out. And people who owed the debt, us, mortgage, people who owe money on their house or their car or any other type of loan, we were not bailed out. As a matter of fact, fraud was committed. People faked signatures, people were foreclosed upon. It's a terrible crime what happened back 12 years ago, but nobody really cares about 12 years ago. My God, we don't even remember 2019 at this point. 2020 is all we can focus on. But remember this, we are getting nothing. A measly $1,000 to about 100 million people is $1 billion. 3,999 of those units are being sent off. To who? To what entities? To what interests? We don't know. I don't even know if the people who are spending the money know. And don't be fooled by their false assurances of oversight and there's going to be adults watching this. Anybody involved in this is going to be vulnerable to corruption. When you're talking about thousands of billions of dollars, do you know what it would mean if you had one of those $1 billion? It would mean that your grandchildren's grandchildren would be buying yachts. It's that kind of money. 4,000 of those units are being sent out into the world, and we don't have any idea to who. And if it turns out that it goes to corporations, I wouldn't be too happy about that if I were you, because, for example, the cruise industry, their ships aren't even registered to the U.S. These are non-U.S. entities that are going to be getting money. Boeing had a negative net worth at the end of last year because they spent billions or $100 billion buying back stock over the last decade. They bankrupted themselves. And now we are supposed to refresh them. Let them, if they are bankrupt and they are vital to national security, nationalize them. I would rather have the government running them and taking them private than continuing to let this band of lunatics and thieves who've been running it for the last 20 years continue on with our money. Would you please start paying attention to what's happening out there? This is all happening. You should care about what this means for your children and grandchildren. Or even if you don't have children and grandchildren, then you should care about what happens to you if you're a young person. We've left you with enormous debts, not even counting your own student debts and the fact you're never going to own a home. I mean, my God, get angry. Wake up.